Las Vegas was built on a very simple premise. As long as America has money, this city will never sleep. All-night parties, crowded casinos, tourists scrambling for rooms at exorbitant prices. These were once symbols of a wealthy economy ready to spend on luxury. But what happens when the money runs out? Right now, Las Vegas is sending out an alarming signal. The casinos are much less crowded. Tourism has declined significantly, and areas that were once bustling 24/7 are completely empty. This is no longer a story of the off-season or short-term fluctuations. It's a sign of financial suffocation. Americans are running out of money. Inflation erodes income. Credit card debt hits record highs. And fun spending becomes the first thing to be cut. When rent, food, and gas have exceeded affordability, very few people have enough disposable income left to fly to Vegas and bet thousands of dollars on roulette or slot machines. And because Las Vegas is the most sensitive place to the free flow of people's money, the emptiness here is the clearest evidence. The economy is weakening faster than official figures admit. Is this just the collapse of an entertainment city, or a reflection of an increasingly impoverished America? Let's find the answer right now. Las Vegas is experiencing a very strange paradox. Neon lights are still bright, LEDs are still flashing, and advertisements are as dense as in the golden age. But at many times of the day, the Strip feels less crowded than usual. And what's remarkable is, this sparseness is probably not entirely random. It's like a pre-calculated consequence of a new strategy, one that prioritizes revenue per customer over the number of customers. According to LVCVA data reported by the Las Vegas Sun, visitor volume in June 2025 decreased by 11.3% compared to June 2024, which is equivalent to nearly 400,000 fewer visitors. In the same month, occupancy rates on the Strip decreased from 88.3% to 81.9%. LVCVA attributes this decline to prolonged economic uncertainty, weaker consumer confidence, and a slow convention calendar. But the remarkable thing is, Vegas didn't disappear. Vegas is just changing customers. This city used to be a place where the middle class could play a small part of the wealthy. Just one night was enough for me to feel the magic of high society life. Now everything feels like a club, where the door isn't locked. But the price of entry makes you step back and turn around. No one is chasing you. You left on your own, because you understood. This is no longer a game for the majority. And if you're wondering, why would they do that? The answer probably lies in the strategy. Fewer people. But each person must spend more. A model can still run, as long as revenue per customer is high enough. It's like a restaurant with half the tables, but double the prices. Not just for tourists, but for Vegas residents as well. The city is now selling a dream, much like it's selling insurance. The more you fear, the more you have to pay. So, what do you think? Is Vegas empty because the economy is weakening, or because they're deliberately filtering out customers? If it's truly a filter, what is that filter? Room rates, mandatory fees, or the feeling of being charged for every breath? If Vegas, the symbol of surplus money, starts to falter, where else is America faltering? And if you want to see how that filter works clearly, we have to look at what makes people the most angry: mandatory fees. If Vegas is truly filtering guests, then hidden fees are the most sophisticated filter. It doesn't need a no entry sign, no security personnel needed. It just needs a bill and a small line of text. What turns tourists off sometimes isn't the high price, but the way Vegas makes you think it's cheap. You see the room prices on the screen. You think you're in control of your budget. Then, at checkout, you realize you've just walked through a toll corridor, resort fee, parking fee, early check-in fee, amenities fee, service fee. Things are called by very polite names, But the feeling is very clear. Legal pickpocketing. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal update from March 25, 2025, resort fees on the Las Vegas Strip range from $44 to nearly $57 per night. This is a mandatory fee, which significantly increases the actual total cost compared to the initial advertised figure. And the annoying thing is, you might not use the pool, go to the gym, or need Wi-Fi, but you still have to pay, to put it bluntly. This is a kind of residence tax, wrapped in luxurious packaging and a palatable justification. Vegas once explained the resort fee as a way to offset operating costs. But from a consumer's perspective, it's like something else, an automatic money collector, regardless of whether you're happy or not. And when people feel treated like a walking wallet, they will react instinctively. They will stop coming back. And parking fees are another cut. It changes behavior. People walk through casinos less, visit just for fun less, and spend less impulsively. The Strip thrives on the flow of pedestrians like a lifeline. When you charge right at the entrance of that blood vessel, don't be surprised when the city's heartbeat slows down. This city is now like an ATM, but you're the one being withdrawn from, not the one withdrawing. The noteworthy thing is, when demand is weak, the market sometimes shows its hand. Some places are starting to try dropping resort fees as a way to boost summer demand, and that's the signal. When Vegas is strong enough, they don't need to apologize by dropping fees. So, what do you think? Are resort fees and these mandatory charges normal in modern travel? Or are they a deliberate strategy to filter out guests? If you've ever been to Vegas, what moment made you feel like you were being charged for every breath you took? And when you're already annoyed about the fees, what will you do? Are you still spending money in the casino? Or are you starting to find ways to survive by other means, like buying things at Walgreens? Vegas has a way of making you realize you're out of money, without even looking at your bank balance. Just look at the menu. And that feeling isn't expensive. It's like being reminded that you're entering a place designed to make you spend more than you intended. Stories like $26 for a bottle of water or burger plus beer, $40, are common in the tourist experience as a symbol of price shock. This isn't just official statistics for the entire Strip, but also a significant indictment because it reflects a phenomenon. Many people feel prices on the Strip have exceeded the threshold of reasonable for fun. And when that threshold is broken, the human brain switches into self-defense mode. You start calculating. You're not comfortable anymore. You're not being spontaneous. The irony is that Vegas doesn't just sell rooms and casinos. Vegas sells a sense of carefree abandon. But the price shock is what stifles that feeling the fastest. When confidence is weak, every price shock, even just a meal or a bottle of water, becomes a reason for people to cut back. What's more thought-provoking is, Vegas used to employ the opposite strategy. In the old days, they let you eat relatively cheaply and drink comfortably because they wanted you to stay on the floor longer. Now it seems they want to make money right at the most basic point of contact. That's why people call this a price wall. Before you even start playing, you find yourself paying. Vegas is now like a financial test. You fail right from the water bottle. So, what do you think? Is this just inflation and rising operating costs? Or is it part of a new model? Fewer customers, but each customer has to pay more. And if you're the operator, which direction would you choose? Keep prices high to maximize revenue per customer, or lower them to salvage the vibe and foot traffic? If you've ever experienced a price shock in Vegas, which one do you remember the most? A meal? A bottle of water? Oh, a fee you didn't expect. This is when Vegas starts to lose money in the most painful way. Not by losing customers, but by losing spending behavior. People still come. They're still checking in, still taking photos in front of the Bellagio, but they don't spend money like they used to. And for a city that lives on randomly scattered money, this is a form of oxygen deprivation. The Walgreens effect is very clear. Customers go into CVS Walgreens to buy water, snacks, beer, pain relievers, and then take them back to their rooms. It's not because they're stingy, and that's because they're trying to maintain control over the budget in an environment that makes them feel like they're about to lose it. When basic costs like drinking water, meals, parking, mandatory fees, etc. cause stress, the natural reaction is to switch to a self-sufficiency mode. The problem here isn't the water bottle. It lies in the fact that cash flow is leaking out of the resort ecosystem. Casino resorts don't just make money from gambling. The highest profit margins are usually found in F&B, nightlife, retail, and shows. When customers cut these parts, the casino might still be lit up, but the money printing machine starts to jam. And this isn't just a feeling. Business reports indicate that leisure consumer sentiment in Vegas is weakening. MGM Resorts reported a 4% decrease in Las Vegas segment revenue compared to the same period last year in Q2 2025, while overall corporate revenue was still boosted by other markets. This suggests that Vegas is no longer as certain a growth engine as it once was. Vegas is teaching visitors how to save even in the spending capital. When guests learn the habit of eating out, buying out, staying in the room, they will bring that habit back for their next visit. And so, the leak became a structure. Is this a sign that customers are running out of money? Or a sign that customers no longer believe they will be treated fairly? If you go to Vegas, would you choose to let loose and spend, or build your own survival ecosystem with Walgreens CVS? And if more and more people do that, what will happen to the casino, which lives off the money that evaporates because of fun? Vegas has an asset that can't be recorded on a balance sheet: electricity. It's just enough noise to make you feel alive. Is the crowd thick enough for you to feel like you're part of a flow? It's the feeling that something will happen when you go outside. Data gives this feeling backbone. According to LVCVA, as reported by the Las Vegas Sun visitor volume in June 2025 decreased by 11.3% compared to June 2024, which is equivalent to nearly 400,000 fewer visits. Strip occupancy decreased from 88.3% to 81.9%. Fewer guests don't just mean fewer rooms sold. It means fewer people walking, fewer eyes on the street, less interaction, and a thinning of the natural sense of security. Vegas is a stage. When the audience seats are sparse, you can clearly hear the hollow sound. And then the domino effect happened. The vibe decreased. Guests stayed in their rooms longer. Spending outside the floor decreased. The business had to optimize. The experience became more like a service system than a fun time. This is the point where many people feel kiosks are replacing people, QR codes are replacing menus, and grab and go is replacing meals. Convenient. But it's cold. Vegas used to make you forget you were spending money. Now it makes you remember every bill. This pressure is reflected in business figures. Caesars reports Q3 2025 Las Vegas segment revenue decreased 9.8% year-over-year, and adjusted EBITDA decreased 18.8%. When EBITDA declines more sharply than revenue, it often means fixed costs are weighing down the model. At that time, the most common reactions are increasing fees, cutting services, and more upselling. And that's what kills electricity the fastest. Is the electricity off because of a weak economy, or because of a profit-maximizing strategy that has gone so far as to make the experience soulless? If you're the operator, would you choose to raise prices to maintain revenue, or lower them to save the vibe? If Vegas, a city that thrives on fun, is losing power, what else is America losing? If you want to understand why Vegas is starting to empty out, don't just look at the Strip. Let's look at what Americans carry with them every day. An invisible bill called interest. Say, Vegas lives off the discretionary money, the money for fun, for breathing. But when interest began to eat into income, the first thing to be cut was not basic necessities. What was cut was the right to be impartial. And that's why Vegas ran out of steam first. Fred, BEA, tracks. Personal interest payments, the total amount people have to pay for loan interest. This isn't a feeling. This is real cash flow. And as this index rises, it's like a valve slowly tightening on life. Every month you earn money, but a portion is taken away before you even have a chance to choose how you want to live. But there's another, more ruthless layer. Credit cards, retail credit cards, those opened at the checkout, are expected to have an average APR of 30.14% in 2025, according to bank rate research. 30%. That's no longer interest. It's a kind of living fee for those who have stumbled through a difficult month. A simple cycle. Late payment, interest increases, pay interest, have less money, late payment again. And this is what makes everyone is broke, no longer a hyperbole. It doesn't mean everyone will go bankrupt. It means a lot of people are being pulled into financial survival mode, living by balancing every small amount and having nothing left over for risks. When you live in that mode, a trip to Vegas is no longer relaxing. It became a test. The New York Fed stated that by Q2 2025, total household debt had reached 18.39 trillion times, an increase of 4 times $24 trillion compared to the end of 2019. Not everyone is in a bad situation, but both the New York Fed and Reuters emphasized the divergence. The low-income group was under more stress, while the wealthy, asset-rich group remained stable. And right now, Vegas is like a pressure gauge. When the middle class starts to run out of oxygen, Vegas will be the first place to see it clearly, because Vegas doesn't sell necessities. Vegas sells something called an escape. Americans aren't short on money to live. They're short on money to dare to live. If interest is becoming a mandatory fee of life, is Vegas just a neon version of the same story? What was the first thing you cut back on when things started to get tight? Eating out, shopping, or those trips you used to think were the rewards of life? Think of the casino resort as a giant ship. This ship doesn't run on gambling alone. It runs on 4 engines. Enough passengers to create crowd energy, high-margin ancillary spending, mandatory fees to stabilize revenue, and especially conventions, events to fill rooms on schedule. When passenger numbers decline or passengers still come but spend less, the ship doesn't sink immediately, but it started to lose speed, and losing speed while still carrying debt and fixed costs, that's when things become dangerous. This is a point that audiences often overlook. Debt doesn't care whether you have good vibes or not. Debt only cares if you have the money to pay. When cash flow is withdrawn, businesses will do what they always do: raise fees, cut services, and aggressively upsell. And that's how the system weakens itself in a downward spiral. MGM also reported a 4% year-over-year decrease in Las Vegas segment revenue for Q2 2025. It's not an immediate disaster, but in a model that needs steady growth to cover huge costs, mitigation that lasts is no longer light. Not to mention, beside Vegas, the commercial real estate market is also seeing debt stumbles. For example, the Four Seasons Hotel in San Francisco was once reported to have defaulted on a $72.5 million loan, leading to foreclosure auction proceedings. If even luxury properties can fall into debt when cash flow is insufficient, the expensive plus high debt model always has a common weakness. As soon as cash flow slows down, the system begins to falter. The casino might win a hand, but debt can win against the casino for an entire quarter. If Vegas has to rely more on fees to survive, is that a sign of recovery or a sign of a slow bleed? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Vegas is not just a city, it's a test, a mirror placed in the middle of the desert, where everything is magnified, light, sound, and even the cracks in your wallet. When America had a surplus, Vegas exploded like fireworks. When America is tired, Vegas is where you see that fatigue first, because Vegas thrives on the only kind of money you don't have to spend, money for fun. The scariest thing is, Vegas doesn't turn off. Vegas changes lives. And when a city of entertainment has to change its way of life, it often doesn't start with the lights, but with human behavior, going out less, spending less, and most importantly, being afraid of surprises. Vegas isn't completely empty yet, but when a place that thrives on crowd energy starts to falter repeatedly, it's no longer an incident, it's a signal. And that signal becomes clearer when looking at company reports. Fixed costs weigh down the model, and at that point, businesses usually do what they always do: raise fees, cut services, and aggressively upsell. In other words, pushing the emotional risk onto the consumer. And so, the spiral of distrust deepened. Vegas thus became a microcosm of the modern economy. Price is no longer a number, but a maze. You enter with an expectation. You come out with a bill. And in the middle is the feeling. I've been led astray. This is why people don't just say expensive, but tiring. Vegas used to be the place where you paid to forget about life. Now you pay to remember that life is expensive. So the question isn't just, will Vegas revive? The question is, does America still have enough breathing room for places like Vegas to exist in the old sense? What do you think Vegas is reflecting about the present? A United States squeezed by interest and fees? Or a United States that is accepting living in a fewer people but pay more model? And if you've ever loved Vegas, do you think the city can regain its underground contract with ordinary people? Or has it already signed a new contract with a different group of guests? Vegas is still bright. But if you look closely, you'll see something else is happening. This city is no longer running on joy like it used to. It operates on fees. And when everything around us becomes a series of mandatory fees, people don't just lose money. People lose the sense of having a choice. You could call it inflation. You could call it a business strategy. You could call it a new era. But for many, it's just a simple sentence. I no longer have enough left to live carefree. Vegas used to be a place where ordinary people could play the role of the rich for a night. Now it's like a club with no door. But the price of entry is enough to make you turn back. No one is chasing you away. You are only reminded by the bill that this is no longer a place for the masses. And the most thought-provoking thing is, if Vegas, which lives on spare money, starts to falter, then perhaps the problem isn't with Las Vegas, and it lies in what's happening with people's wallets, with their trust, and with the way America is operating. Do you think Vegas is empty because the economy is weak, or because they're intentionally filtering out customers with fees and prices? Are resort fees and mandatory charges just the way things are? Or are they a sign that the system is pushing ordinary people out of the game? If Vegas is the mirror of America, what is it about America that is causing that mirror to crack? And the final question, do you still believe that places once accessible to the masses can return? Or is the mass dream gradually becoming a privilege? If you find this video helpful in clarifying the issue, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. This video is a social analysis and commentary based on press sources and public data, along with observations on consumer tourism and labor trends in Las Vegas. The content is not intended to attack specific individuals or organizations, does not make legal accusations, and does not substitute for financial, legal, or investment advice. The cited figures and information may change over time, and the statements in the video are analytical perspectives based on available data.